Gary, and I will be speaking for the affirmative. Contention number 1. Abstinence-only policies lead to a cycle of violent relationships. Subpoint A. Abstinence-only policies have not been effective in preventing teens from having intercourse. Whitney Burdett, West Virginia State Journal, 4/6/2012, Volume 28, Issue 14. So why do the demographers at Auburn University say abstinence-only education doesn't work? The answer is twofold. On one hand, federally funded studies have found abstinence-only education doesn't change behaviors. In 2007, Christopher Trenbolm, a Princeton University professor and expert in risk reduction programs for youth, studied 4 school-based abstinence-only sex education programs in Florida, Mississippi, Virginia, and Wisconsin. Trenholm found students who received abstinence-only instruction were no more likely than students in the control groups to abstain from or delay sexual intercourse, nor were they more likely to have fewer sexual partners, according to the Auburn report. Subpoint B. Intercourse done by teens who have not been educated in safety leads to more unplanned pregnancies. Heather Boonstra, Senior Public Policy Associate in Guttmacher's Institute, graduated from University of Oregon and holds an MA from Yale University. The Guttmacher Report on Public Policy 2002. Roughly 2/3, 63% of U.S. teens have had sexual intercourse by their 18th birthday. But while this level of sexual activity is hardly unique among developed countries, teens in the United States do have uniquely higher rates of unplanned pregnancy. Despite significant reductions in U.S. teen pregnancy rates over the last decade or so, nearly 900,000 teenagers still become pregnant each year. And almost 4 in 5, 78% of these pregnancies are unintended. Subpoint C. Unplanned pregnancy leads to child abuse and abuse between parents. Adam Thomas, Notre Dame Journal of Law, Ethics and Public Policy, 2012, Volume 26, Issue 2. A pregnancy's intendedness, or lack thereof, has wide-reaching implications. For instance, rates of single parenthood, physical abuse, and mental health problems are all higher among women who experience unintended pregnancies than among women who experience intended pregnancies. Similarly, physical and mental health problems and delinquent behavior during the teenage years are more common among children whose births were unintended than among children whose births were not. Women who experience unintended pregnancies are also relatively more likely to delay the initiation of prenatal care and are relatively less likely to breastfeed their children. Subpoint D. Child abuse and abuse between parents leads to violence in relationships later in life. Robert Militic, Journal of Family Violence, October 2010, Volume 25, Issue 7. Physical aggression occurs in 1 in 3 dating relationships. Among college students, between 17% and 45% report that they have engaged in physical violence toward a dating partner, and 22% of college students are victims of dating violence each year. Both exposure to violence between parents and child physical and emotional abuse are associated with the perpetration of relationship aggression and victimization. Contention number 2. Mississippi should adopt a comprehensive sex education program for its schools. Subpoint A. Sex ed classes must provide safe sex information. Dana A. Weiser and Monica K. Miller, Contemporary Justice Review, December 2010, Volume 13, Issue 4. Social learning theory is based on the assumption that individuals gain information through the social environment. Individuals then internalize this information, which will subsequently influence behaviors. Sex education classes must provide pertinent safe sex information and also teach adolescents they are capable of engaging in safe sex. Protection motivation theory utilizes the basic tenets of social learning theory. In order for individuals to protect themselves from a health threat, such as STDs, they must possess information about the threat's severity, probability of occurrence, the effectiveness of prevention strategies, and the belief that they can successfully execute prevention strategies. Subpoint B. Stricter mandates on sexual education programs means more information will be provided. Keith Breaux, Family Court Review, April 2008, Volume 46, Issue 2. Legislatures should not watch idly as the United States continues to have alarming rates of STDs and teenage pregnancy, challenging the nation's financial resources and endangering its next generation. State legislatures should replace lenient opt-out policies by enacting statutory provisions that require parental instruction before a child can be excused from sex education. Stricter state law requirements for parents who wish to exclude their children from sex education would enable professional educators to present a 90-minute program for parents, as well as assemble informative packets to place into the parents' hands with up-to-date medical data. Subpoint C. Comprehensive sex education means more responsible choices made by adolescents. Dana A. Weiser and Monica K. Miller, Contemporary Justice Review, December 2010, Volume 13, Issue 4. It should be the policy of federal, local, and state governments to fund and advocate comprehensive sex education. President Obama must fulfill his own pledge to create policies based on scientific knowledge and begin providing resources for comprehensive sex education. By providing adolescents with factually correct information, these individuals will then be able to make responsible decisions about their sexual health. Finally, it is recommended that policymakers and educators work with researchers to further develop additional strategies that may delay sexual initiation and promote safe sex. Subpoint D, educators should accept youth sexuality in order to protect students. Dana A. Weiser, Monica K. Miller, Contemporary Justice Review, December 2010, Volume 13, Issue 4. Abstinence is a noble goal, but it is only through teaching adolescents to protect themselves that the negative consequences of sex can be diminished. Research indicates that most adolescents are able to have sexual relationships without harming their mental health. By accepting teenage sexuality, educators may begin to protect the youth. Comprehensive sex education provides adolescents with accurate information about contraception, STDs, and pregnancy, while also successfully delaying the initiation of sex, decreasing the number of sexual partners, and increasing condom or contraception use. Subpoint E, health promotion strategies lead to fewer sexual partners. Joy Walker, Sex Education, November 2004, Volume 4, Issue 3. There is substantial evidence supporting the potential positive impact on children and young people's health that derives from confident parents openly discussing sexual matters with them. This evidence suggests that when this is the case, the following result happens. Children are more confident in discussing sexual matters themselves, likely to delay their first sexual encounter, use effective contraceptions when they become sexually active, and have fewer sexual partners. Clearly, parent involvement in sex education needs more recognition alongside other sources of provision and further research to develop the current evidence base. I now stand open for cross-examination.
Could you please real briefly explain what the significant problem is in your contention number 1?
The significant problem is that abstinence-only sex education does not stop children from having sex early on, and indeed increases their chances of having unsafe sex, which leads to child abuse and violence in relationships later in life for their children.
Okay, is this significant problem specific to Mississippi? Is this national? What's the scope of this problem?
This problem occurs in places where there are abstinence-only sex education policies.
Okay, in subpoint B, you give some percentages of how many unplanned pregnancies, how many teen pregnancies, and how many unplanned pregnancies there are. Is that for that says it's for the United States, correct? Not Mississippi?
Yes, the United States.
Do you have any information on how many teenage pregnancies there are in Mississippi? How many of those are unplanned?
I do not.
Do you know if Mississippi has higher rates than the national average? Do you know if they have lower rates? Do you have any idea at all what Mississippi's pregnancy rates are like?
Mississippi, I don't have it up here. Mississippi has, they did a survey in 2006, and Mississippi had the highest rate of unplanned pregnancies.
Okay, in contention number 2, in subpoint E,
yes.
You say health promotion strategies lead to fewer sexual partners. Could you please read the first sentence of that evidence?
There is substantial evidence supporting the potential positive impact on children and young people's health that derives from confident parents openly discussing sexual matters with them.
Okay, that's confident parents openly discussing sexual matters with their children.
Yes.
Does that have anything to do with the school? That's talking about parents, correct?
That's
not talking about sex ed.
That sentence in and of itself does not, but the rest of that quote goes on to say that parent involvement should be active in sex education, but that it should be comprehensive.
Okay, it should be.
Time.